Hey Patrick, I'm glad that you were late because I wanted to put some makeup on.
No stress at all. I don't think if it makes you feel any better, the Zoom quality is not enough to actually determine the difference. So,
Okay,
but thank you for taking the time to do this. Like, so all you got to do is just answer the questions. Like,
cool.
it's really like a feedback session. I'll obviously upload it on the YouTube channel as well, but just answer it based on gut feel, and we can get stuck in if you like.
One question before we start.
Sure.
Um, I told her name's Tree, right? The person who reached out. I told Tree I have only had 5,000 in revenue, or yeah, revenue since joining.
Hmm.
And that I offered to like wait to do this with you until I feel like I'm on the brink of it before I close. Like I have two proposals out that are like 20,000-ish. And even if those don't close, I have like 10 other people that are interested. Like I feel like I'm close. Um, how do you feel? She said, let's keep the call. How do you feel?
Yeah, this is more about like me getting feedback than it is anything. So,
Okay.
like a lot of it is like you feel like you're moving in the right direction, right? Like you're
Yeah.
on the right trajectory. That's what the testimonial is like, man, I feel like I've got the building blocks and now I'm just walking the walk, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, because you're like your situation is just the amount of people that we've done 2 and 3 testimonials and case studies from,
Hmm.
because we've just had to, okay, well, we're at a completely different level. You know what I mean? But like
Yeah.
if people that are earlier on, like I still want to capture those because
Okay.
most people come in like not understanding, like they think of where you were before
Oh yeah.
selling just design
We're gonna talk about
versus, yeah.
it.
So yeah, like there's a heap in this, and I just let's get you to the point that we have to redo the testimonial because we're like 10x, you know. So
Love it.
but like feel free, just thank you for taking the time. Just feel free to introduce yourself and explain who you are and what you do.
Cool. My name is Hannah Garrett. I like to think of myself as somebody who builds brands, but really at this point, I've learned that I'm a business developer of all different scales of businesses, ranging from founders to Series A, all the way to corporate Fortune 500. And what I offer is really tight-knit plans that are efficient to get people to move quickly so that they can actually offer premium price tags to their products and it's justified and it feels like a premium brand. And so then there's a lot more purchase behavior after they work with me.
Nice. What take me through where you were, like what kind of problems were you experiencing and wanting to work on before you came into the program?
Yeah, I was feeling stuck. I was feeling like I was at a precipice. I've had a dream to leave agency life and start my own company for almost a decade. Um, yeah, I had a download from God one day when I was like 24 and I wrote it all down and I'm like, okay, this is a really big vision. How are we going to do this? And God said, I lived in Texas. I was working as an art director at the largest independent agency at the time. Um, and I heard God say, don't rush, take your time. We're going to go get the experience first, but I want you to have this vision so that you know where you're going. But that it was going to be a big company that would scale and have a lot of employees where creativity would not be built out of fear, but would be built out of what he gave us with inspiration. So um, I think what really has changed was at the beginning of this year, I was so upset. I'm like, I've got to figure out a way to start getting clients because I was ready to leave my job and I was ready to run my company, but I couldn't figure it out. I could not figure out how to monetize and get the cash flow going. And even when I talk to mentors here in the city, I think I have probably met like in-person sit down one-on-one mentors at least six, but I would say dozens, like maybe like 60, 70 who actually had quick conversations with me, and nobody could give me what Patrick was giving me. It's really, I would say, it was the understanding of how to sell creativity and actually use psychology of sales. And that whole concept of sales in general, it just terrified me. And I would say to all the people, all the mentors and creatives that I've been around, either it terrified them or they were so apathetic. They were like, we want nothing to do with this. And Patrick was the first person that I was really interested in learning from him, where I'm like, I don't know how I can afford working with you, Patrick, but you figured out this convergence of sales and creativity, and I want to figure it out too. And then as soon as immediately I had an opportunity where I got the savings for it, like I don't know, I think it was like within 48 hours I joined. And it's been the best, it's been the best year of my life. So yeah.
You just gave me an incredible name for like, I think, just how to sell creativity. I've never actually thought of it that simply.
Yeah.
Um, Thank you for that. um,
Sure.
so so take us through like your experience in the program so far. Is there like a facet of it that like you gravitate towards more, like the training or the systems or the theory or the worksheets or the books we give you to the read or the group calls or the hot
Yeah.
seats? We know you've got a hot seat coming up in a couple of days, but is there a particular format that you've gravitated to and why, I suppose?
Yes. So number one, the group calls. That I would say that was life changing. That's honestly like that's as simple as I can say it. Because I remember the first time I got on a group call and I thought, wow, I have Patrick's ear. He's going to answer my question. What? This is crazy. I was so nervous because I felt like coming from agency life, I had to keep my guard up and I had to make it look like I had all my ducks in a row and hey, I'm doing everything right, but hey, can you help me with this one little thing? And I remember like that very first time I spoke up. I was so nervous, but I was like, Hannah, you have to be as honest as possible. Like, do not make this sound better than it is, because you need to get the real answer from Patrick and you can't waste his time. Like, you got to go in quick. And it that was just the domino that like it fell, and then there was like hundreds of dominoes that fell after that, because Patrick, it's so easy to talk to you and it's so great to hear your frank input on my blind spots for my business. And I really have learned every little piece you give me, I see progress. So I've really learned to trust you and the things that you have to say. Um, yeah, I would say that's like the biggest. And then on top of that, you told us about how the book Psycho Cybernetics was going to change our life. And I was very guarded because I am a person of faith. And I looked at this book and I was like, uh-oh, is this new age? I need to be careful. I don't know if I should read this. And I started opening it up and flipping through the pages. And like, granted, there were two chapters I skipped because it was about brainwashing stuff and I'm not into that. But everything else, I realized like it was such an eye opener. It was, to me, it was like aligning with my faith of, okay, God gave me a brain that when I partner with God in faith and believe that there's exponential opportunity for my brain to change and to keep growing, we can go so much further. And that's what the book taught me. It actually made me believe there's no problem I can't overcome. And the Bible says that. So, like, I had known that a long time ago, but in business, it wasn't really working out. And when I realized, I was like, oh, I think I was in my own way. When it comes to sales, when it comes to business, when it comes to marketing to friends, selling to friends, and then going way beyond that to strangers. And it empowered me to believe that I'm not like denying who Hannah is and who my faith is with my God. I'm actually embracing it even more to go on this journey where I believe I can keep changing and keep iterating and keep changing. It's not my personhood that's changing. It's like my behaviors and my practices of how we're going to live this out. And I'm just like failing forward like way faster now. And I'm seeing a lot of progress in that. And I'm like, we're never going back. We're never going back to the other way.
um, what would you say has been like the biggest aha moment that you've had in the training program?
Yeah, I would say it was how I was focusing on justifying myself and my services. And when I realized that the conversation in the client's head is kind of all that matters. Like, Hannah, you already have an amazing product, but like if you can't sell it, then that means that you don't know the conversation going on in their head, and you need to figure it out and like be open, be humble to figure it out. That was the biggest aha moment. And then Patrick helped me because I sent out 100 messages and I got only one response, and it was a guy being rude because that was the one day I made a typo in his name. And he was rude back to me. And the program, the community taught me to shake it off. And then Patrick told me, he looked at my messages and told me one thing I was doing wrong. I was sending like way too much about me, justifying my services and my product. And instead, it's just like, hey, found you're another founder. I'm a founder, found you in this community. What's your biggest goal for your business? And suddenly I think I've had like 200 conversations. And even though I did feel hopeful that like 10% of those were going to turn into clients, they haven't. It's given me all of this valuable information for the conversation going on in my client's head. And I consider that a wealth of information. And I've applied that to other areas in my life to monetize side hustles to keep me going. Since it is taking me longer for cash flow with this business model. And I'm getting like really fast results on these other side hustles so that I can float. And they're never going to amount to the money I want to make with my business, Color Brand NYC. So I'm like, oh, this makes sense because you teach us this, Patrick. I'm like, cool. That makes sense why I got quick results over here for these side hustles and why I'm not going to go spend my life on them because the threshold of what I can make on them is like way down here. So I'll let that pay my bills while I put my energy and my time and my mental and emotional effort, into taking longer to figure out how to close sales with Color Brand so that I can like go way up here. Not even for like having money in my bank account, but so that I can bring more change to the world. That's the end goal. And my objective document has been huge. I can't believe nobody taught me that in the church because I like have so much of my faith written through that whole objective document, and it has like empowered me so much in my business to see all that tied together and start my day each day with that. So that's what moves me because my objective document says I'm on this earth to bring creativity and glory to millions of people, glory to God and creativity to millions of people. And it's going to inspire them and draw them into his kingdom, but also it's going to bring, a better life to them. And if I believe that, then I want to grow my business up here. I want to have 100 employees and I want to take time to figure it out. So yeah, I'm loving it.
Amazing. So like how I suppose has it changed the way that you think about your business moving forwards?
I think it makes me more honest. I didn't want to I never wanted to put as much of a percentage on my day into business development as I do now because I valued creativity so high. And the way I see it now is I still think that's like the most underrated commodity in the whole world. And it can make a lot of people make a lot of money if they use it in really strategic ways. But that it's okay if my day is not filled with working on creativity because I want to impact more people with that creativity. And that means I'm going to have to spend a lot more of the percentage of my day on business development, and I feel really at peace with that. And I'm songwriting a lot. I'm doing all these things I've always wanted to do. And it's almost like I have this overflow of creativity because I'm not like exhausted by it in my job, but I still have the overflow to go to it when I do have those, that percentage of my day going to creativity. So, yeah.
Amazing. Um, Thanks for taking the time to offer some insights, Hannah, and I look forward to being part of the journey.
Thank you. I want to keep going on it with you, and we'll see what those big returns look like hopefully soon.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for the insights. That was awesome. I'm just having a look. Bear with me a sec.
Yeah.
I've got I got another 8 minutes until my next call. So if there's anything you wanted to go through, like that we can cover that might help you out, like feel free to ask.
Okay, well, the first thing, I want to share this with you. I just don't really know how it fits into everything. So one of the side hustles I was talking about is I got back to New York and I'm pretty much broke, but I'm like a few weeks away from being broke. And so I came back with a strategy of figuring out the conversation in hot couture stores in the sales associates heads because I wanted to go get a part-time job there because I realized, oh, like I need more. Well, first of all, I just want to work with fashion brands, but second of all, um, even if I don't work with them, I want my color brand clients to feel like they're getting closer to hot couture brands. That's kind of what I want to sell people is like I can get you up to that or close to that standard. Um, and so I realized that I need to figure out the conversation in the client's head of the people purchasing these $1,000 dresses, these $5,000 bags. And the best way I can do that is to go be a sales associate. And I figured out the conversation to convince the sales associate to interview me. And I got interviews at places that people say is impossible. I don't know if it means anything to you, Patrick, but it's like The Row, Celine, Prada, Toteem. I got interviews at those four places in less than a week, and I already have a job offer. And I'm going to keep that at like 20, max 30 hours a week to pay the bills. And I'm not going to overdo it. And it might turn into commission, which is cool, but like still the threshold's so low compared to what I can make a color brand. I guess I
Mm.
want to ask you, like, how do I bring all this together? Because I feel like I'm working like 10 years in advance or something, or like even 3 years in advance. I want it to
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
together.
the like what I'm helping you with is the formula to create time and financial freedom, right?
Mhm.
Um, what what this role potentially does is it gives you the anatomy and the building blocks for how to take advantage of what I'm teaching you. So any role where you come in and you're solving a problem and they're willing to throw 20, 30 hours a week payroll at you means that there's a bigger problem at hand for a big company, right?
Yep.
It you just got to see it that there's how to think about opportunity and how to build products and solutions and run a sales process for that product solution, and that's what you're learning through me. But then we need context and what's actually happening in the real world and the information to actually do something meaningful with what I'm teaching you.
Mhm.
So the opportunity to go work for these companies is incredible because it's giving us the actual insight and the
Mhm.
real world data that all you have to do is continue to keep playing the game that I'm giving you.
Yeah.
And it'll allow you to see the situation massively different when you're inside helping these guys. And what'll eventually happen is you're like, that's the product. That's what I should be building. Does that make sense?
Think so. So if I'm in the store, at first I was going to focus on the person who's making a purchase behavior and really study their psychology. But are you inviting me to zoom out and be like, well, the problem I'm solving as Hannah, the sales associate, is delivering something to this corporation, and what is that value that I'm delivering so that I can figure out a product to sell to that corporation? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it could be anywhere along the line of that. We don't know where you might find the biggest problem, but because you now know how to think about, like, it might come down to, like, it could, and it'll probably have something to do with branding and positioning, but it'd be particular insights that you get just from exposing yourself. Because most people that work in like a sales associate role don't actually think about whatever's connected to them. They just do their job that's given to them right there. But you're now becoming aware of all of the ins and outs,
Mhm.
which is going to allow you to ask questions to people above you, which is
Mhm.
going to allow you to see bigger opportunities to go solve problems. So you might arguably be like, hey, management, like regional management, I've noticed this. Like, is this an issue for you guys? Or like, do you think we could do this in order to improve how the shop performs?
Wow.
That's where all the insights are.
Okay. That
Does
helps
that make
me.
sense?
Yeah, it does. Because I
So,
was keeping it at like the lower level of the funnel. But thank you for bringing me back up to watching the whole stream of income for them.
well, it could easily be something that's like customer facing, but it but it's but if it's customer facing and you get the company to change how it does that across all of the stores, that's not customer facing lower level. That's everywhere, massive level. You know what I mean? So I think you've just got to. Your job is to help them make more money. That's all it is.
Yeah, and that's
So
what I
your
want to.
your
Yeah,
job's not to just process transactions and help people. It's to figure out how to help the store make more money.
yeah,
And if you can help the store make more money, you'll help all of their stores make money. And you'll probably also help anybody else. And that's where your expertise can come from is
okay,
it might be a combination of design, psychology that helps with, you know what I mean? It might be simply we should read people saying this and we should ask these questions
hmm,
because it allows us to get to a better understanding of what they want. I don't know. There's so many ways that you can skin it, but
yeah,
it's pretty safe to say that people that have better experiences in stores spend more money. I think that's a pretty safe assumption. So, like,
hmm,
what can you do to potentially help foster that? You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, there's
yeah,
so many ways that it can. That there's nothing that bad could come out of it because you're getting insights into one of these big companies, and it becomes the best part of like your story moving forwards. Is like I've worked in these things at a ground level, and I understand them from the ground up. You know what I mean?
that's so cool to hear that. Thank you, because I felt it inside of me, but I was having trouble putting it into words. So that's awesome. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
I was trying to figure out
Um,
if I should turn it into content, but I think I'm like too like that's later on.
yeah, that can be later on. You don't have to worry about that right now.
Yeah.
Um, it'll hit you square in the face when it aligns. You know what I mean? But it's more important to just become aware of everything that's around you. You know?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. This was awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, no worries. Have a lovely day. Thank you for doing that. And yeah, I'll see you on the hot seat in a couple of days.
Okay, I'm excited. Bye.
See you later. Bye.